Dice cómo la asimilación y la culturización afectan las diferentes generaciones de inmigrantes.
So the official definition of assimilation is the acquisition of a new culture
La adquisición de una nueva cultura
and language.
y lenguaje.
And the official definition of acculturation is, acculturation is the acquisition of a new culture or language, and assimilation is the gradual reduction of ethnic
Si está escribiendo ahí cosita.
distinction between immigrants and mainstream society. Now, you probably don't know what that means. So, in a simpler term, assimilation is the blending of two cultures. And then acculturation is the adoption of a new culture. And along with acculturation, there's two different terms under it too. Consonant, or consonant, yeah. Which basically means when both the parent and child learn new culture at the same pace. So, mama. Yes, this. Kid. That's when they both learn new things like language, manners, and other things. And then dissonant.
¿No quieres la mesita?
Dissonant is
¿Y si se va a mirar en el este? Sí.
when only one person learns something.
Sí, híjola, yo creo que está muy arriba, hijo.
No?
¿Está bien?
Sí.
¿Qué es? ¿Que sigamos así o revisamos?
So is that
Ok.
Dissonant is when one person learns something, usually the child. So, kid. That's the mom. Kid learns language faster than the mom.
Sí.
Or manners, or different stuff. Faster than mom, that's dissonant.
¿Entendiste, pa?
Oh.
So let me ask one question. Can you think of a time when your parents didn't understand something about American culture?
I would say the education.
Can you explain?
That in Mexico it's different because it wasn't really important, or they wouldn't. Oh, actually, college. And over there, they didn't really. The parents didn't really give them the opportunity or the motivation to do college. And over here, it's completely different. It's the parents constantly motivating the students or the kids to go to college and get a better life.
Okay. Me too. When I started college, my parents didn't really understand how different it is from in Mexico. Here, it's not always easy, or a lot of people don't understand how hard it is, so they can have a hard time trying to comfort you or help you in whatever way they can because they never went through it personally. So, yeah. And one example of assimilation is different holidays. So remember, assimilation is basically the blending of two cultures. So one example of that is Cinco de Mayo. In America, they celebrate it.
Hot dogs. Oh. Never mind.
But in Mexico, they don't really celebrate it.
What? ¿De veras?
¿Cómo?
¿No celebran el 5 de mayo?
¿A
In
dónde?
Mexico,
¿En México?
Ah,
Sí.
se sabe que hay un día, pero no,
so
no
they,
tanto.
What?
they know it's there, but they don't really celebrate it.
Aquí sí hacen más cosas.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Then another example of assimilation is a language. USA, some examples of language merging together. Alright, one example of assimilation of language
Spanglish.
is, yeah, Spanglish.
Mm.
Terms like el carro or el
Coche.
mall.
Ay,
In English or Spanglish, that means car. That means the mall. But Mexico, the actual term is el coche.
What?
And then the mall is, those are some examples of assimilation. Two different languages merging together form Spanglish. Alright, now to the next page. So some general information about, of course, about assimilation and acculturation and how they affect different generations of immigrants is going back to it. It's important to know that acculturation can happen without assimilation. So let's remember. Acculturation can happen without assimilation. But because assimilation is the full thing, fully merging, assimilation can't happen without acculturation. And that's simply because assimilation is when, or acculturation is slowly becoming assimilation. So that's why I can't happen with that.
Crazy.
And then there's a lot of things that can happen for assimilation to happen or to fully happen. One of those things is how the host society, which in this case the USA is the host society. And then Mexico would be the new group. So some things that need to happen for a host society to take in this new group would be when they arrive, the economic or social role they play, and the attitudes of the dominant group towards them. So one example of a host or a new group coming in to the host society would be Muslims or Arabics coming in around 9/11. Normally, Muslims coming into the USA wouldn't really be a problem. But because of their arrival and the events that happened in 9/11, the attitude of the host group wasn't great. Oh my gosh. Wasn't great. And the social role they played didn't really matter because the attitude and the arrival wasn't ideal for them. So that's one example of how the arrival, the role they play, and the attitudes can affect how well two different cultures can come together. Now, it's because of these factors that a member of a family can experience different acculturation and assimilation. One generation, sometimes the parents can arrive and not a great time. Maybe a lot of cartel attacks could happen, which wouldn't make the attitude that great. But then the kids come at a time where it's mostly peaceful. Which means their attitude was good. Well, that's good, but not done. That's one example of how timing can come. How timing can affect different generations. I know most of you probably know this, but for those who don't, there's differences between first generation, second generation, and third generation immigrants. First generation are usually the parents, the ones who came first. That's the border. Crossed it illegally or legally, we don't know. That's the parents, first generation, the ones who come here first. Second generation are usually the kids of those parents. They, most of the time, are born
Citizens.
after